All right, we're here with PJ Morton now. New album, Walk Alone. I've heard you classify it as a theme album. What would you say the theme of the album is?
There's definitely a theme of love, and with that, there's love lost. You know, there's happiness in love. There's disappointment. So it's definitely a love theme there. Actually, the title song isn't in that theme. No, it's talking about how I've had to walk alone musically, and the choices that I made. So,
okay.
Yeah.
We've been playing most of the album. We've been having pretty heavy rotation, and among the songs that are getting the I guess the most feedback, it's a little bit different than your typical "The Son of a Preacher Man." Mm-hmm. First time I heard it, first thing I thought in my head, I don't know why. What did mom and dad say when they first heard that song?
Well, my mom said I threw her under the bus. But I told her, Mom, this was a long time ago. I'm just finally getting this out. My dad loves the song. Mm-hmm. They love the record. You know, they know that it's truth, and you can't argue with truth. You know, they just understand what it is. But I've gotten great feedback from that record.
What? How long ago did you write it?
Probably about 2.5 years ago.
So why did it sit so long?
Well, this record sat a long time. I had most of these songs for about 2 years, and for me, it was just about growth. I didn't want to throw the record out like I normally do. You know, I'm independent, but I always want to grow in my independence. And this time, I knew I wanted to have a great team, a great setup to the record, and a great release, and we've had that. So.
Speaking of being independent, I know you have a marketing degree. Mm-hmm. How has that come into play when dealing with marketing yourself?
Oh man. It comes into play in a major way. Having a marketing degree, you know, music is more about that than the music itself. Now, for me, it's music first, but for the business, that degree comes into play all the time and has really helped me to, you know, I knew to brand myself early on, and that's why when people hear PJ Morton, they know what that means and what that is, and that was as important to me. Than the music.
If you had to sum up the brand that is PJ Morton, what would you call it?
Well, people, you know, consistent quality. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not going to give you trash. You know, whether you like the songs a lot or not, you know it's going to be quality bad songs. You know what I'm saying? There's a brand in the way that I look. You know, my glasses is a brand. You know, I know a lot of people do that now, but I've been doing it for years now, and people even sometimes refer to them as the PJ glasses, you know, which is a brand, and the live show is a brand. You know, people know that we're going to bring an incredible experience every time. So those are some things that I pride myself on.
I know here in Atlanta, I believe you're recording your show.
We're going to record the live CD release.
Are you planning on releasing that as a separate album, or is that something? What's the plan with that?
We're going to play around with it. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm working on some things. Well, there's a DVD coming out called Son of a Preacher Man, but I'm also working on a DVD as I work on a new record and this whole journey from this point to that point. So it's going to be some cool things that we'll release with that footage.
And if you can, tell me a little bit about the book.
The book is called Why Can't I Sing About Love, and kind of addresses the struggle that I dealt with growing up as a preacher's kid and deciding not to follow in his footsteps as a preacher. And not only that, not even deciding to do gospel music. But to do R&B soul music. It was a struggle at first, and some people didn't understand that. You know, a lot of Christians feel that was going against God's will. So I wrote a book that kind of broke down what the Bible says about love songs and where those love songs originated when God gave them to Solomon. And there's a book of love songs in the Bible called Songs of Solomon. So I just thought it was time for once and for all to deal with that issue and state what the real facts were.
How long did it take you to write it?
It actually only took me a month, man. I couldn't stop writing it once I started. It was it's kind of like how I write songs and work on albums. I get this wet spell and then there's a dry spell, but when I'm in it, I have to keep going. You know, I'll write 2-3 songs a day. So that's how the book was. It was like continuous, and then I knocked it out.
What's your songwriting process like? Is it something where you have to be alone? You have to listen to music?
Yeah, I'm pretty walk alone. Yeah, that's part of it. No, I'm almost always alone, and it usually starts with a melody, no words, melody, and I'll get on the piano and kind of mouth out the words because I know what I want to hear the melody to sound like, and then they become words eventually after mumbling and whatnot. whatnot on the piano. And then I hear all the rest of the instrumentation, but it usually starts with just me and my piano.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song on the album right now?
Right now it's Mountains and Molehills. That's it just kind of speaks to a lot of people's situations right now. It's been a rough couple of years, recession and et cetera, and a lot of people have been giving up on their dreams. So I just wanted to encourage people and inspire people to follow those dreams, because that's all you have a lot of times is your dream, and that's usually where your treasure is. Following that.
After I'm sure you've listened to the album several times now. Is there anything you hear?
For 2 years.
Yeah. Is there anything you hear like I could have done that better?
Yeah. There are always little things, man. But I am a naturalist, if that's a word. I don't know. But I embrace mistakes. I embrace imperfection, because that's what makes us human. That's what makes me PJ Morton. We'd all be robots if I just fixed everything. So yeah.
I've heard you say Mom was a big Beatles fan.
Huge
fan.
And yeah.
Obviously, Dad's in the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you growing up musically?
Well, of course, the lowest hanging fruit initially was gospel music. So it was the Winans and Commission and Clark Sisters. And then my mother, like I said, was a huge Beatles fan that came on early. My dad was a huge Anita Baker fan. And everybody was a huge Stevie Wonder fan. Right? So Stevie was huge and probably the biggest influence on me and my music.
A little bit tougher one. I ask everybody this.
Mm-hmm.
We're a soul music station. We play primarily classic soul music. Play a couple new artists such as yourself.
Thanks.
What's the history? Not the history, but what's the future for soul music, you think?
I think the history and what part of my not intentional plan, but I think what has happened is just kind of redefining soul music, because it's been limited to this one thing. Then it became this even smaller box called neo soul, and we tried to box it in. But soul music was always about expression, true expression and feeling. And I just, whether I do a reggae song like Love You More or a soft rock song like Forever, it's all soul music. It's all coming from my soul, and it's all created to go directly to someone else's soul. And I think redefining it is a big thing, and getting back to the playing, getting back to the instruments, not just beat making, because a lot of the soul music has become that, putting instruments over beats. But we got to get back to the playing and the real people, the real, the blood.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, man.